Hey, we're on live.
Aaron,
Yep.
Aaron and Balake, but we don't have a Balake.
All right, so let's go ahead and start answering these questions. This one,
Okay.
why did Hurston incorporate for the story?
Hey, Foster, can you mute your mic whenever you're not talking? Like, there we go. There. So yeah, whenever answering a question, like unmute it. But other than that, it's like it's echoing really bad. Okay, sweet. So what's the first question?
Why did Hurston choose to incorporate folklore into her story?
This sounds dumb, but define folklore in this case, like
Let me Google it.
like an untrue story or fiction or.
So the definition of folklore is the traditional beliefs, customs, and stories of a community passed through the generations by word of mouth.
Oh, okay. So I would say the reason she used folklore is because it makes it a lot more easy for an audience to relate.
I agree with that.
We
That's what I thought.
well, we as human beings have an ability to tell stories, and that's what pulls people in. And so if you don't make something relatable, then it's very hard for someone to see the value in reading it. So I think to capture an audience's attention is why she would use it. And Aaron's gone.
Oh. Okay. So I don't know. Do you want me to write it down?
Sure, do it.
I guess.
Sounds great. Aaron, what's the second question?
All right. Let's see.
Wait. Is someone recording right now?
Yeah, I'm recording it.
Okay.
So the second question is, how does African American tradition function
Whoa.
in the book? How does African
How does
American
that?
how does African American tradition function in the story?
Uh,
What do you think, Foster? Oh, he just unmuted it. I thought he had like the answer to the question. Why did she use African American storyline or
oh, what is its function in the book?
oh what's its function?
Yeah.
Oh shoot.
Um,
I haven't got a clue.
well, I mean, I think African American, a lot of African American tradition, I guess you could say. I mean, was kind of given to them through like slavery and stuff like that. So like, I just feel like the tradition of like doing what you need to do to get by, you know. That's kind of what slaves had to do. They had to whatever it took to get by, and I think that for a lot of the story, that's kind of what happened. So,
Wait, I'm trying to write it down, but I can't hear you guys.
can you hear me?
Whoa.
Cut.
That sounds
You're kind
really.
of cutting out, but that sounded better.
All right, if you can hear me, I think the African American role helped to maybe address the question of social status, and so with Janie and the different social levels that she climbed through, I think that it was that and the past with her grandmother
having been a slave, and the way that Janie elevates to an eminent figure in the community, being the wife to the mayor and everything. So I think that maybe that helps contrast and play a little deeper into that theme of the book. So yeah.
Sounds like a really good answer to me.
Yeah, there's probably more. Let's move on to the next question.
Okay.
You guys hear me? Hey, you guys hear me?
Well, yeah. Go ahead.
Next question is, what do you think are the audience and purpose of the story?
Well, I think the purpose of the story was to show how difficult life was, not just back in the day, but the difficulties that even slaves, I guess African Americans dealt with, because they all it sounds like to me like the majority of them had lives of slavery. They understood what that was like, and so even escaping slavery, if maybe I'm wrong in saying this, but even in escaping a slavery, there wasn't truly freedom. Even after there's quote unquote freedom, there's still people that like to put oppression on others during that time frame.
Makes sense. It's like the battle wasn't yet won, you know? The war wasn't over. There was still a lot of social stigmas and a lot of that to overcome before you could say there was equality. And you can say that we still suffer from that. So it was a good way to bring attention to that fact.
I feel like a lot of like one of the purpose and like the audience of the book is kind of like directed towards people that back in whatever what was it, the 30s or something. The people that lived in those circumstances, and just people that were like kind of oppressed, I guess, in certain ways. Um, that could be African Americans, could be women. Um, but I feel like as a story and as that small lesson that made me think about how she kind of found herself and she was able to have a fulfilling life, I guess you could say. To me,
Yeah.
like the purpose
Well,
like regular people who have hard lives, they can still find self fulfillment if they try hard. They can still be satisfied with their lives, they can still find happiness, even if they do go through hardships and have hard things to deal with. So,
What do you think, Young?
wait, sorry. Like I couldn't hear anything. Like, are we still on question 3?
Yeah. So basically, we're just saying, or the answer to question 3 was that there still isn't freedom, like it's like we think there is all the time, and there's still oppression
Mm-hmm.
during the time frame that there is.
Okay, so
Okay.
what's after that?
question number 4 is, what societal values, attitudes, or ideals are conveyed and challenged in this book? So, I mean, obviously, values such as like racism, or like you know what I mean, like attitudes like racism or sexism is obviously conveyed in this book.
Yeah, class, social norms, love, yeah, like socialism was a big one, and how no one really approved of Janie and would all kind of snicker, gossip behind her back. But as she came out, she truly lived. She lived life and really got to do what she wanted to do. She loved, truly loved, and all that stuff. And she doesn't think any of those people in the town ever really branched out and never really achieved those things.
Okay. That's good. Shall we move on to the next question?
These questions seem more in depth than I thought they'd be.
I think it was also.
Aaron, what's the next?
In what ways does Hurston make African American tradition relevant for contemporary readers?
Can you say that one more time, or read that one more time?
In what ways does Hurston make African American tradition relevant for contemporary readers?
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
I mean, I think she makes it applicable by by what by what Janie wants is pretty, it's not the social norm, and so a lot of the oppression that Janie faces is not just tradition.
I didn't hear any of that.
Oh, that's okay. I'll repeat it. I don't even know if I'm answering the question right, but how does she make it like applicable to contemporary? As I think that she puts Janie in a position where there's trials and struggles and difficulties, and Janie still has this drive to want to fulfill her dreams, and she's willing to pay whatever price it is. And so oppression, I was listening to a guy named Ben Shapiro.
She's a
I love you, girl.
pay the ultimate price.
Say that again.
Hey,
I
Clayton,
can't hear anybody.
Clayton,
What?
continue on your thought.
What?
Continue on your thought about Ben Shapiro or whatever.
I'm just going to say there's a guy I've been listening to kind of put it in perspective, a guy named Ben Shapiro, and he talks about white America and black America, and you have a lot of the nationality, I guess you can call it white America, but even with today in 2018, there is still sometimes oppression that African Americans can feel. And so using Janie and building a character and a story around what she's feeling and what she's experiencing and still trying to overcome trials and struggles, even when you feel like you can be in a situation that has racism or control and dominion, is important for helping other people know that they can achieve the same things.
Yeah, I agree.
Foster's gone.
All right.
okay. I try my best to write it down, but I'm not sure it's right.
All
Okay.
good.
Oh, just Cho, make sure it says something to the effect of that that even in 2018,
Mm-hmm.
African Americans can still feel oppression, control, racism going on around them, and Janie is a good figure to follow, that that there is always hope for something greater, even when there's racism that goes on around.
Okay.
The only reason I mentioned Ben Shapiro was I didn't want to sound like I was being racist by saying that there is still sometimes oppression and there's still sometimes this racism in what we call, white America, quote unquote white America. So there's even with the growth we've had and civil rights and whatnot, people still need a figure to look to understand that you can always come out over oppression. So anyways, long-winded answer to a short question.
Oh yeah, it's all good.
All right. Next question is, how does race affect the relationships of characters in the novel? And then it talks about how does gender affect relationships? How does class affect relationships? To give specific examples, including page numbers.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's great.
Give specific and page numbers.
Yeah.
Ooh. Can't remember page numbers, but
Well, I can't.
I don't know. I don't know page numbers, but I know that. Now, I mean, the impression I get. I mean, I didn't. This might sound like a really dumb question, but Janie was like white, wasn't she? Or she was, or like a mix, right? She was this, like Nana was raped by her slave owner, so she was kind of like a mix, right?
Oh.
Am I right?
Yeah.
So there are, I mean, I don't have specific page numbers, but there's times where like Janie gets beaten because she's a woman, because there's no civil rights and there's nothing against, really that. And so men still have, in this time period, men have this attitude of they're higher than women. And even with, Jody, I think, yeah, Jody, who owns a store, even with Janie being, half white, there is still control and dominion that other people are, that press upon her, they look past that because of the time and the era, because she's still the daughter of a slave. Hey. If that makes sense.
I missed that question.
Is that you, Foster?
Yeah, I'm back.
Aaron might have to read it, but it has something to do with how does gender and age and race play into the factor of how people were treated during the book, during that time period, with specific page numbers
and specific examples in the book.
Yeah, there we go.
So how does gender and race play a factor?
Yeah, basically, like, I know there's a time when Jody beats her, I mean, multiple times.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is how quickly she'll rebound back from that, and then it says that it just went to passion after that,
Well, yeah, I mean, it was just something that they had to accept, I guess, or she had to accept because the time frame, the era, and she didn't leave because she felt like she had nowhere to go. I remember that. So because she's a woman in the time frame and era period.
Right. Yeah. I'm looking at the question now. So more specific examples. There is also when she was working in the store and everything, how he won't let her have her hair down. She has to tie her hair up.
That's right.
In basically all the social settings, she's not allowed to be basically herself, and he doesn't want anyone else looking upon her and her beauty, so he has her tie her hair up and hide herself, kind of. And then for the funeral of the mule, Matt Bonner's mule that Jody bought to save, basically. And when they held a funeral for it, I think she wasn't allowed to be there as a woman.
Right.
He said
She
that was because she's a woman, she shouldn't be there. And there's other instances earlier where like where they would hold, or there was a party or something, and he wouldn't want her there. Or at the, I think at the shop, he didn't want her talking to the common folk, stuff like that. So, yeah.
Oh, that's right, because they were considered of a wealthy status. I forget what it's called. Some type of clothing.
Something what?
It's some type of clothing that they were wearing, or something they had. It wasn't jewelry, but it was like a type of clothing, and it was a symbol of wealth and their status.
Oh, I can't remember.
It's called like spittoons.
Oh, I thought that was something else, but I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, I read that.
Can't remember.
I thought that was just like something that you find at a saloon.
A spittoon or whatever. That's a you spit your like, chewing tobacco.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I'm an idiot. I thought it was clothing. So.
Yeah, it's one of these like.
You spit into it.
Yeah, you spit into it. Apparently, an aristocratic thing to have, so it showed their wealth, and she didn't like that. Also, so yeah, she definitely after that she realized that I think those things didn't matter to her. So it was kind of maybe wasn't all too out of place for the flood to take it all away.
Yeah. Makes sense.
All right. Let's see the next question. Last question. When do two or more of the above factors come together to influence the way a character is treated or interacts with the world? Again, give specific examples.
Can you repeat that again?
When do two or more of the above factors, so like race, gender, class, come together to influence the way a character is treated or interacts with the world? Well, I mean, obviously, a black woman is like, at that time was like lowest, treated pretty much the worst compared to like anybody else. That's the obvious one, And then, you throw class in there as well. I mean, it's all tied together throughout the whole book.
Yeah, I think it all ties back to her grandmother, Nanny, who wanted the best for her, but saw it in the wrong way by trying to marry her off to a wealthy man to take care of her, when that's not at all what she wanted. She wanted to live her life and experience the real things. And so, yeah.
Just her Nana thought that the superficial things, finding and searching after the superficial things, solved problems, and Janie realizes after. But
that comes from the time frame of the class that she came from, where there was no hope. So, where marrying well off would just be a better scenario, because those things like true love and whatnot didn't really matter. It was, are you going to be okay to survive or live a comfortable life? But when the times change, she wants to, she realizes she can be still comfortable and yet seek the things that bring her happiness.
Yeah.
So,
Does that answer all the questions?
Yep.
Basically, yeah. But could you guys repeat the first question? I mean, the first question's answer. I didn't hear that quite clearly. Just the first one.
Aaron, would
Why?
you read that again?
So the question is, why did Hurston choose to incorporate folklore into her story? Clayton,
So-
I thought you had a pretty good answer to that.
It's
Yeah.
like
Cho, do you need the question or do you need the answer or both?
that's the answer for the
So
first
the
one.
reason that she includes folklore is because it tells a story
Okay.
of the time period and the time frame for Janie. And stories are what we as human beings can relate to.
Okay.
And so it captures the audience's attention by using a story that people can relate to.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, guys. I wrote it down. I'll just turn it in by tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
Perfect. All right.
Hey guys.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. Thanks.
Bye.
Hey, Joe, would you post the stuff in the the messenger chat after you submit it tomorrow?
Okay. Or so do you want to kind of fix it?
No, just post it after you've submitted it, so that way we have something to reflect to or go to during the analysis. When we have to do the analysis, it might help.
Okay. All right.
Awesome. Sweet, guys. Thanks.
All right. Thank you.
Yep.